This week's Extra Life on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by EXA. EXA brings the latest technology to gamers, offering the most immersive products for the ultimate gaming experience. They've compiled the best elements of cutting-edge ENC tech, the latest in Bluetooth 5.0 and 7.1 surround, plus extra features into their headsets so everyone can enjoy a sensational gaming experience. And they've got headsets for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Plus, they won't break the bank. Learn more about the headsets that are available and any current promotions by going to f5live.tv/exa. Well, in recent weeks, a number of developers have received notifications from Adult Swim Games, which is part of Warner Brothers Discovery, letting them know that their games are being discontinued. They're being delisted from digital marketplaces. Variety of games, some of them branded, some of them not. And so this has caused some problems. Yes, we know. Delisting happens all the time. Publishers decide to cancel a thing. They take down backends. SimCity Social, if you've been around for a long time. Anyway, that one still burns me way more than a decade later. Anyway, so in this case, several of the publishers were informed that their titles are just no more. Others, who have different contracts with Adult Swim, are going to have the rights to those games reverted back to them. However, Warner Brothers Discovery has made it very clear that the product listings will not be transferred, only the rights to the game. Now, why does this matter? It matters because, in at least one case, the game has been out and in the wild on Steam for more than a decade. And that means more than a decade of photos, screenshots, in-game videos, community conversation, ratings, download statistics, gameplay statistics. All of that is about to be lost forever because Warner does not want to transfer the listing, which, by the way, is 3 clicks to go from one owner to another. But they have made it very clear, not interested. If you want to republish the game, you can, but you're starting from zero. It definitely brings up some things we've talked about a lot in the past, and that is some of the trouble with modern gaming, particularly digital distribution. One of the game developers, whose name is currently escaping me, Matt Cain, who developed Fist Puncher, who has over 10 years of online listing history for this game. He basically came out and said, buy physical games. They can't do this to you on physical games. But this is the balancing act. We kind of all in the digital world end up in this balancing game of, do we stay independent and take full control over our thing, whether it be a podcast? Do you do it yourself? Do you go with a network and give control over to the network but get more distribution, right? There's always this give and take. You give some control up to get better distribution. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. Obviously, if you have the resources of Warner Brothers and Discovery behind you, your resources are going to be, your distribution capabilities are going to be higher. It's like signing with EA or Activision to publish an indie game, or Epic Games or something like that. Yes, you get your game out there, more people see it, but you lose control. And in this case, some teams are losing the game entirely, and then some of them, like Fist Puncher, is losing more than a decade of community engagement because of the details of their contract. It's a difficult place to be in, Abram.
It sure is. I mean, it's unfortunately money people don't really see the value in archival data. Um,
Yeah.
we see this all the time in the publishing industry as well. Um, we see like I'm proud to say that at this moment you can still go on Tom's Hardware and you can find articles from 1996 when this first version, Tom's Hardware blog or whatever it was called back then, launched. Um, but the um, but a lot of our competitors, a lot of our competitors in this space have decided that articles above a certain age are going to erase because who we don't want to have to serve that to people anymore, right? So now that's not to change the topic. I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, something like 10 years of community is not something that bean counters value,
Mm-hmm.
right? They if they think that there's any kind of a cost associated with any kind of a cost associated with maintaining something that of maintains a history, they're gonna dump it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, now it's weird, even in the case of some, of like publishers doing it, because like if those pages still get page views, then they're still showing ads on them and they're still making money.
Right.
But there was some belief that's not very strong, that's not been proven by evidence, that if you have too many URLs, Google will punish you. So get rid of the old ones or
Yeah.
something. But um, it's but the thing is, right? Unfortunately, in the gaming industry and elsewhere, the more things that you have in the cloud, the more you're leaving yourself up to the vicissitudes of whoever runs the server on the cloud,
Right.
right? And so, I mean, we see this all the time with hardware too, right? Like, um, I know a lot of people in the 3D printing world who are upset that certain printers, like in order to do Wi-Fi printing with them, you need to connect to go through their cloud service.
Mm.
What if they decide after a few years, oh, we don't want to support this? What if the company goes out of business, or after a few years they're like, ah, why should I bother supporting this 5-year old printer, because I
Yep.
already got those people's money, you know? Um, right? I mean, so there's a lot of areas where being reliant on the cloud is kind of dangerous. And we've also seen this with people's books getting pulled off of their devices, even though those were ones that they weren't streaming but actually bought,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Movies.
um,
We talked
yeah,
Amazon. What do they call the non-Prime Video? Anyway, the Amazon Instant Video or whatever. That's probably not been called that in a decade. People have purchased movies and TV shows and stuff through Amazon's store, and when Amazon lost the license to distribute them, boop, they were gone, even though they had been purchased. They got refunds on them, but I mean
what's
it's
weird
crazy.
about that is what seems weird about that to me is why don't they cover that in the original licensing agreement?
Right?
Like, hey, if somebody bought this, they bought it, right? So we're going to keep serving this to whoever bought it forever, right?
Right.
Like,
And if you don't have that ability, if you're Amazon and you don't have that ability, and you know at some point that content might get pulled and you're going to have to refund the money, why sign that contract? What benefit is
well,
there? A couple of cents in interest over a period of time where
because
you
you're
had the money? I mean, it's crazy.
because if they have to now, didn't we talk about one where they didn't refund the money? And I don't know if it was
Probably.
Amazon, but some company, and they just
Yeah, it
said,
wasn't
"Look, you had this
Amazon.
for 10 years.
Yeah.
You had this for 10 years. Sorry, I
Well,
guess you should have enjoyed it while you had it."
well, look at video games, right? You purchase the video
Yeah.
game, you purchase in-game uh, items and things like that. The game gets pulled, and I mean, this is another great example, right? The game gets pulled, the listing gets pulled. Are the items that you purchased the first time around going to continue to exist? Almost certainly not. So not only is the publisher starting from scratch, but you are too, and your purchases might go away. I that's that brings me back to my 10-plus-year-old rant on SimCity Social when EA pulled that, and that was the last time I spent any money on a social game, because I don't know when that might go away, and any time and money I've spent on it just gets yanked. Nah, I was done with it after that one time. That was good. Thanks for telling me how the industry works now. I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because we lived in a world of physical media. The physical media, as long as nobody destroyed them, would always exist.
Hmm.
So, you
I'm
know,
looking at a I'm looking at a box of NES, SNES, and Genesis games right in front of me that I
yep,
literally took to the state fair a couple of weeks ago, hooked up to a CRT television, and allowed people to come up and play unaltered, warts and all. The demo video for Sonic 2 has a rendering issue in it, and here we are, 3+ decades later. It's still there, and the game plays
yeah,
exactly as it was.
yeah. My son, who's 11, has become somewhat of a computer historian recently, in
Nice.
that he likes to watch videos about old consoles, but also old PCs, and he'll sit at the dinner table and be like, "Did you know that they used that? Did you know that DOS 4 used to crash a lot?" And I'd say like, "Yeah, I kind of remember that." But and the other day he asked me a really ridiculous question though. He said, why do people still want to buy physical media? Like why do they still want to buy optical drives?" And I said to him, "Because somebody might take your copy away if you buy a digital one."
Yep. Look at
Uh,
Telltale Games. Uh, I
right,
mean,
right.
that is the story of that is that the company went away, and so did all the games, even ones that you already had could go away. Wild. So
Right.
so we had a comment on our last Extra Life segment, where we talked about the layoffs. And I thought it was interesting because it continues to be relevant today on this story. It says myth: ET killed Atari and caused a global collapse in the gaming market. Fact: the crash of the 80s gaming industry was caused by an overabundance of low quality products and the overuse of the gaming industry as a money machine to rapidly sell the next big thing rather than a good thing that lasts, creating consumer frustration and an overall distrust in the companies selling the consoles, games, etc. And I find it interesting because I saw somebody else summed this up uh, very quickly on an article about this topic as I was researching. They said it seems like the gaming industry is run by people who hate video games, which I think
Yeah,
very
yeah,
accurately
fair.
sums up that post from William MacLeod from last week. It does. It seems like the video game industry is run by people who don't like video games very much.
Look, I mean, you could say that about any art, right?
Yeah, it's
About
true.
any art form, right? The people who enjoy the art and the people who create the art are very far away from the people who extract the money from the art. And the people who extract the money are all about extracting as much money as possible, and they're usually not thinking ahead very very far, right? Oh,
Right.
let's flood the market with product. I mean, that's we're sort of seeing that with superhero movies now, right? Like
Yeah.
it was good, people liked it, and now they flooded the market with products, some of which was not good. But the fact that there was so much not good, anything that was okay is also getting tarred with the same brush,
Hmm.
right? Like and so it starts to hurt the industry,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I would not be surprised if the boom that we're seeing now in AI is ripe for a similar correction, where you're seeing AI everything now,
Yeah.
and if they're not already, I do think that people are going to start to say like, "Wow, there's a lot of low quality stuff in here, low quality uses. I guess this thing is bogus."
It's just like
Um,
crypto and blockchain. The crypto bros destroyed blockchain um, because they didn't care about blockchain. They were something else. And oh no, you need to include blockchain. And I reference this from time to time. We were at Collision that year, and everybody's like, "Oh, and we have a coin." Oh, of course you do. Why? Explain it. Oh well, what? What do you mean explain it? Why do you have a coin? Ah, don't worry about it. Like that kept being. That was basically the answer. Ah, don't worry about it. And I just did this data conference this week, right? And you go talk to these data analyst companies. There's so many similar companies on the show floor. And you talk to some of them, and you're like, but why? And they're like, don't worry about it. Yeah, this feels this feels familiar.
well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff also that is said to be AI and is not really
Yeah.
AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. It's like self-healing algorithms at best, and in most cases,
right,
it's predetermined algorithms just making predetermined determinations. It's like, okay,
right. Like
that's not that's not AI.
I should just start calling anything that I program AI, because then people would actually think it was something.
There
The
you go.
Speaking of crypto, my 5 year old got a toy set that had like, I think it had like toy food and a little toy money, and
Uh
she
oh.
pulls out of the toy set this coin, and it was really heavy, and I look at it, and it was an Ethereum coin. How did that end up in a children's toy set of like stuff with play money or whatever? And Ethereum, and like, it's about the size of, I don't know, like a little bit bigger than a quarter, I'm gonna say.
Like a silver
Um,
dollar?
yeah, like the size of about a silver dollar, maybe a
Okay.
little bit bigger, golden, and it's kind of heavy. Like, it wasn't cheap plastic; it was actually like metal Ethereum coin that came in her toys. The
Was it
irony of all
supposed
that, of
to?
course, is that, well, why not? I mean, there's no value to an actual Ethereum coin, right?
Fair
Because
enough.
it's all digital. So what's the point of a coin?
In fairness, our currency is mostly the same. It's all just based on the trust that it actually exists.
Right, but you can go, if you give me a silver dollar, I can go to the corner store and spend it.
Yeah.
And if you give me an Ethereum coin or anything else coin, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
They don't accept that. It's not tender. Not
Right.
forget legal tender. It's not tender. Period.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's like going to the corner store and trying to hand him a stock certificate for a share of Apple. What?
but this
Don't
is,
worry about it.
I don't think anyone actually issues Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, uh, Ethereum currency. So that's just weird anyway.
Yeah. Well, back back to what's going on with Warner. This this has been a long running industry issue, and as Matthew kind of accidentally pointed out, not knowing what this week's topic was going to be, um, it's kind of an issue that exists across the industry, and as we were saying, across more than one industry. A lot of the tech industry right now seems to be run by people who don't necessarily care about the particular thing, and that always causes problems. But it also usually ends up with an overcorrection on the other end, and out of the 80s gaming crash came the 90s boom. So it's likely that this cycle will continue to roll on, and that the the consolidation we're seeing right now, the layoffs we're seeing right now, this kind of behavior of shutting down games, and not reverting anything back to the creators, this kind of thing will cycle. All an indication that we're, coming to the end of a vicious cycle, hopefully soon. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell, because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.